Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, cradling her newborn son in her arms. The room was quiet, bathed in the soft glow of the nightlight. She should have been feeling blissful, grateful for the miracle of life, but all she felt was exhaustion. James, her husband, hovered nearby, concern etched into his features. "Are you okay, Sarah? Do you need anything?" "I'm fine," Sarah replied curtly, not meeting his gaze. She knew James was only trying to help, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being overwhelmed. James hesitated, then gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Maybe we should call my mom. She could help us with the baby, at least for a little while." Sarah's head snapped up, her eyes flashing with irritation. "Your mother?" "No, James, I can handle this. We don't need her interference." James recoiled slightly, hurt evident in his eyes. "Sarah, she's just trying to help. She's been through this before. Please, let her come." Sarah sighed, feeling the weight of her exhaustion pressing down on her. "Okay, call her if you must. But I'm telling you, James, I don't want her here." The next morning, Martha arrived, a bundle of energy and excitement. She bustled around the house, tidying up and cooing over the baby. Sarah watched her with a growing sense of irritation, feeling like Martha was intruding on her territory. As the day wore on, Sarah's patience wore thin. Martha's well-meaning suggestions grated on her nerves, and she found herself snapping at her mother-in-law more than once. Finally, Martha gently suggested a different way to soothe the baby, and Sarah snapped. "That's enough, Martha. I'm the mother here, not you. If you can't respect that, then maybe you should leave." Martha's face fell, hurt evident in her eyes. She quietly gathered her things and left, leaving Sarah and James alone in tense silence. That evening, James returned home from running errands to find Sarah pacing the living room, her face flushed with anger. "What happened?" James asked, concern evident in his voice. Sarah rounded on him, her words coming out in a rush. "I couldn't take it anymore, James. I asked your mother to leave. She was interfering, undermining me. I'm the mother, James, not her." James stared at her, shock and disbelief written across his face. "Sarah, how could you? My mother was only trying to help. She loves you, she loves our son. How could you treat her like that?" Sarah felt a surge of defensiveness rise within her. "I'm the one who just gave birth, James. I'm the one who's up all night with the baby. I'm the one who's struggling here, not her." James took a step back, his expression hardening. "This isn't just about you, Sarah. This is about our family. You can't just push my mother away whenever it suits you." Sarah's anger flared. "I'm not pushing her away, James. I just need some space, some time to figure things out. Is that too much to ask?" James shook his head, his voice tinged with disappointment. "I don't know, Sarah. I don't know if I can do this anymore." The following days were strained in the household. Sarah, still reeling from the emotional turmoil of childbirth and the confrontation with Martha, withdrew into herself. James, torn between his loyalty to his wife and his love for his mother, found himself walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace. One evening, as they sat down for dinner, the tension in the air was palpable. Sarah picked at her food, lost in thought, while James tried to make small talk, his attempts falling flat. Finally, unable to bear the silence any longer, James broached the subject. "Sarah, we need to talk about what happened with my mom." Sarah looked up, her eyes filled with a mix of defiance and weariness. "What's there to talk about, James? I told you, I needed her to leave. She was making things harder, not easier." James sighed, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "But Sarah, she's my mother. She's family. You can't just push her away like that." Sarah's temper flared. "I'm not pushing her away, James. I just need some space, some time to adjust to being a mother. Is that too much to ask?" James shook his head, his voice pleading. I understand that, Sarah. I really do. But you have to understand how this looks to me. My mother is hurting, and so am I. Sarah's eyes softened, a pang of guilt coursing through her. I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to hurt you or your mom. I'm just overwhelmed, and I don't know how to handle it. James reached across the table, taking Sarah's hand in his. We'll figure this out together, Sarah. We're a team, remember? We can't let this come between us. Sarah nodded, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to each other. But little did she know, darker days lay ahead, testing their bond in ways they never imagined. Days turned into weeks, and the tension between Sarah and James only grew. Sarah was determined to prove that she could handle motherhood without anyone's help, especially not from her mother-in-law. James, on the other hand, was torn between supporting his wife and standing up for his mother. One evening, as Sarah sat in the nursery rocking her son to sleep, James approached her tentatively. Sarah, we need to talk, he began, his voice gentle yet firm. Sarah looked up, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. What is it, James? Can't you see I'm busy? James sighed, taking a seat next to her. I know you're busy, Sarah, but we can't keep ignoring this. What happened with my mom was not okay. You can't just push her away like that. Sarah's eyes flashed with anger. I didn't push her away, James. She was overstepping, and I had to set boundaries. I'm the mother, and I know what's best for my child. James placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch gentle yet firm. I understand that, Sarah, but you have to understand that my mother loves our son too. She only wants what's best for him. Sarah pulled away, her tone sharp. Well, maybe she should respect that I'm his mother and stop interfering. James stood up, his frustration evident. This isn't just about you, Sarah. This is about our family. My mother is a part of that family, whether you like it or not. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, her voice breaking. I'm just trying to do what's best for our son, James. Can't you see that? James's expression softened, and he pulled her into a hug. I know, Sarah. I know you're trying. But we have to find a way to make this work, for all of us. The next day, Sarah reluctantly agreed to sit down with James and his mother to talk things out. As they sat around the kitchen table, tensions were high, but they all knew that they needed to find a way to move forward. Martha spoke first, her voice gentle yet firm. Sarah, I understand that you're the mother, and I respect that. But I also want to be a part of my grandson's life. I love him, and I only want what's best for him. Sarah looked down, her anger slowly dissipating. I'm sorry, Martha. I didn't mean to push you away. I just felt overwhelmed, and I didn't know how to handle it. Martha reached out, placing a hand on Sarah's. I understand, dear. Motherhood is hard, especially in the beginning. But you're not alone. We're here to help you, if you'll let us. Sarah looked up, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Martha. Thank you for understanding. James smiled, relief flooding through him. I'm glad we could talk this out. I want us all to be a family, to support each other through the good times and the bad. And with that, Sarah, James, and Martha began to heal the rift that had threatened to tear their family apart. They knew that it wouldn't be easy, but they were willing to do whatever it took to make it work. If you found this story of family dynamics and new motherhood compelling, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Your support means the world to us.